feeling good?
I'm feeling great. The Kings, they did something in free agency.
They did something.
You don't always get to say that, especially when it's like a new player. It's not trying to hang on to an old player or a player on your squad. It's great to see.
Well, let's talk about what the Kings did. Of course, a lot can happen. And if there's anything big and breaking, we'll probably have to do another podcast. But here we are a few hours into free agency. What we do know is a couple of things have transpired. Kind of the news yesterday that surprised a lot of Kings fans and even NBA observers. I saw John Hollinger over at The Athletic, the former VP with the Grizzlies, talk about it. Very surprised that the Kings did not give a qualifying offer to Donte DiVincenzo. Had they done that, he would be a restricted free agent. Then he could go sign an offer sheet, and the Kings would have the ability to match it and bring back Donte DiVincenzo. They didn't do that, which made him an unrestricted free agent, which shocked a lot of people. One, because they need a shooting guard, and because it seemingly they love Donte, right? Monte McNair
tried going for him twice.
The first one was with the Bogey sign and trade with Milwaukee that fell apart. Yeah. Bogey ends up going to Atlanta for nothing. And Donte was supposed to come back in that deal along with DJ Wilson. That deal falls apart. Then we fast forward to this trade deadline. He lands him in a deal with the Bucks. And you're thinking, okay, this is obviously someone that's going to be back next year. But then there were some questions this offseason about, like, does he really want to be here? What's his role? He wasn't completely satisfied, according to James Hammond reports, that he wasn't completely satisfied with his role with Sacramento, right? He was coming off the bench behind Justin Holiday, who was not shooting the ball at all. It was not efficient shooting the ball at all after coming over from Indiana. And so Donte being a restricted free agent, you're wondering, okay, maybe the Kings just bring it back. No. They decide not to, so you're wondering, they have to have something up their sleeve.
Yes.
What is McNair doing? Well, we find out today the Kings agreed to a 2-year, $20 million deal with Malik Monk.
And as we get into Malik Monk, just really quick, too, because you talk about that Donte DiVincenzo stuff that was going on, I think our initial reaction is like, what's going on here? Because...
Well, it didn't make sense in a vacuum. It's like, well,
right.
why would you do this? Because I like Donte, and I actually would have liked him on the team going forward.
Absolutely.
Because of what he can do defensively for a team that's not a good defensive team.
How he flies in for rebounds as a guard, too. You know, there's so much more that he could add when he wasn't shooting well, or so we thought we would see in a full healthy year with Donte DiVincenzo. We're not going to see that now, but there was reasons why they made Donte DiVincenzo an unrestricted free agent.
I guess. And, you know, he has not been picked up at this point. We're still early in the free agency, so we'll see where Donte lands. But he's going to have suitors because of the fact that he's been on a really good team in Milwaukee. He plays the right way. He gets after it, super engaged defensively. The one area that I think maybe teams are concerned about is like, all right, has he totally recovered from the ankle thing?
Right.
His agents say he's 100% recovered and ready to go. And I think for him, if he can knock down his shot efficiently, that would go a long way for him in his career. But I like Donte a lot. I do like this move for Sacramento, getting Malik Monk, though.
Yeah, so that's why... all in all, it was nice to see that Sacramento got this deal done because Deuce, you were hearing rumblings about this yesterday, right? Yeah. And then today came, we started hearing a little bit more. I was a little weary, like, are the Kings actually going to make this happen? Are they going to close this deal? Because how many deals have we seen being like the almost trades that we have seen before? And they're frustrating. So the Malik Monk noise started and hey, 3:00 hit, 3:00 Pacific time hit, and Malik Monk was making a deal with the Sacramento Kings, and I love it for so many reasons.
Well, here's what I like about it. The Kings have definitely needed shooting.
Yeah.
Right? You think about all the shooting they've lost really over the last couple of years. I mean, if you want to go back to Bjelica and Bogdanovic, then they lose Hield. They lose Halliburton. I mean, there's a lot of shooting, right? That was gone out the window. Also, you add in the fact that Fox has not been efficient. Davion Mitchell was not efficient shooting from the perimeter. Holiday wasn't last year.
No.
Coming over from Indiana, DiVincenzo, like no spacing. Well, they addressed one, I think, with Keegan Murray, who shot it well from 3 at Iowa last year. They feel good about his spacing ability. But getting Malik Monk to space the floor is legit. I mean, he has shot it effectively from 3 the last 2 years, right around 40%. And it's not on like 2 attempts. He's taking like 6 a game. The numbers are even more impressive. Catch and shoot, 42% on catch and shoot threes. Then inside, within 3 feet of the basket, 72.5% from that mark. And then a career best on twos, just under 57%. So a guy who can shoot it and a guy that is athletic. Like that's the other thing the Kings need is some athleticism.
Check.
A 3-point shooter, an athlete, he'll dunk on your head, acrobatic moves, beautiful reverses, can play off the ball, can hit threes. And one of the bigger things for me is, hey, he's got like some chemistry with De'Aaron Fox from their days at Kentucky.
Yeah, and I like that. I like the chemistry part. I think sometimes some people want to put too much into it, but it's just good that De'Aaron Fox is going to be playing also with guys that he likes. But Deuce talking about a lot of those numbers of not only what Monk can do from the outside and be that outside threat, which allows a lot more open space in the paint, right? But not only that, you got someone in Malik Monk who could also create off the dribble, attack the rim, attack it with authority with his athletic ability. I not only do I like to see that, but then he's playing with a big and Sabonis who could also pass the ball. Are we going to see Monk cutting it through the paint, slashing through, a lot more off-ball movement from this younger athletic guy in Malik Monk?
24 years old.
Yeah.
And I think we know that shooting is a premium in the NBA.
Yes.
Shooting's not supposed to be cheap. There was some talk about Monk maybe returning to the Lakers, but they couldn't offer him a ton because they are a luxury tax team. So that put them in a really challenging position. And for Monk, it's more money, it's opportunity. And, you get that raise. That's nice, but it's an opportunity to get extensive playing time, in all likelihood be the starting shooting guard, if not play a significant role, and you get to play with your old college teammate. I think that makes a lot of sense for him. And you stay in California.
And talking a little bit more about that opportunity, it's a bigger role for him, but it's a bigger role for anyone that comes to Sacramento. You're asked to do a lot more in Sacramento. Why? Because they have a lot of holes to fill still. And Malik Monk, is going to get that opportunity with the Sacramento Kings, but also it's not like he has to play hero ball or be the guy, because there's enough love to go around. They're getting better offensive players on this team. Now, I know Deuce is going to go to this side of the ball, and that's the defensive side for Malik Monk. And we know where his flaws are on the defensive end, but there's things that I feel positive about with his athletic ability that hopefully Mike Brown can put him in the best situation, putting him in a team defense.
I feel like he's been better defensively the last couple of years, but no one's going to mistake Malik Monk as some great defensive player. And obviously that's a concern. I do think the Kings offense right now, just what we know with the roster, who knows what else can happen this offseason. It's only June 30th here. Season doesn't start till October. I mean, if you put out a lineup with Fox, with Monk, Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Sabonis, that's a pretty nice offensive lineup with some good spacing, some guys who could attack, some good size, rebounding. It's a pretty quality offensive lineup, but you're right. I think defensively is going to be the challenge. And like, if the Kings are going to take a step defensively, they have to address it roster-wise. And there's some players out there that could help in that regard in free agency, or maybe they go the trade route. Maybe they look at a Thibault. Maybe they look at free agency with Derrick Jones Jr. I don't know. But part of it's going to be on Brown to get the most out of what he has.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really, in my opinion, on De'Aaron Fox, because I still maintain this. And trust me, I'm ready for people to shit on me on this, 6 months from now. I think he's got the ability to be a decent defender in this league. I think we've seen flashes of it. We saw it at Kentucky, but we've seen in the NBA when there's certain matchups I feel like he gets up for. But I'm eager to see Fox understanding the importance of this season, not only for the Kings, but for him and his career.
Yes.
Where he is headed as a player.
Yeah.
I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he's got a thirst to go to a different level.
Sure.
De'Aaron Fox knows all the noise being talked about him right now. He understands. He even said after the season, I'm not even talking about the structure part. They want structure. He's going to get that with Mike Brown. But he talked about he had a bad year. He knows he had a bad year.
He wants his reputation to be different in the league. He wants his legacy to be left differently in this league. And I think he is capable of doing and adding so much more to his game. I think one of the excuses I always make for him, and I don't know if this is fair or not, but I always say, God, was he never taught how to play basketball the right way? Was he always kind of told like, hey, you're the fast kid, utilize that speed and just take it to the rack. Oh, defensively, make sure that you're just being quick, staying in front of your guy, when there's so many other things that you need to learn about the game at a high level. And then you look at his the coaches he's had throughout his NBA career with the Sacramento Kings, there hasn't been consistency or stability in who has been the one managing and teaching him the right things. I don't know if that's just an excuse, but what I'm saying is that I actually feel very hopeful with this coaching staff and their reputation of developing guys, teaching the game the right way at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, he has to be better defensively. He has to be more consistent overall. So if he is better there, I think that goes a long way in maybe easing the concerns of some of the defensive issues that Sacramento has had over the years. And I mean, they're going to have issues with Sabonis too, who I think is a smart team defender and does some nice things, and he's able to rebound, which is great, but he's not protecting the rim. And there's going to be issues where he gets exposed a bit defensively too. So, I don't think anyone's looking at Sacramento and projecting them to be a top 10 defensive team next year, but can they, get more out of the group that they have on the roster and add a couple of pieces where can they get to 20th? Like, is that too much to ask? Can they get to 20th and improve there? But, Malik Monk's not going to solve that issue, but I think he solves a lot of other issues with the athleticism and the shooting and his ability to attack. I think him playing in transition, he loves getting out and going. I think that helps Fox. I think having a connection with a guy he likes playing with, someone he knows, is beneficial for him too. So I think the Kings offense has a potential to be really fun next year with just the guys that we know they have right now.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about if Davion gets better offensively and gets more consistent. We saw the flashes at the end of the year. Terrence Davis, can he stay healthy and show reach his ceiling, which is kind of this streaky microwave guy off the bench.
And I think everyone needs to know too, when we're talking about the Sacramento Kings and we're talking about being excited about Malik Monk, we're not talking about him being a savior for the Sacramento Kings. And I think that just needs to get across, because sometimes that's how people view a rookie or a free agent that comes along. And it's like, they're not just going to be this one key piece that changes this franchise or how this team plays or the entire culture, but having a solid piece can help with that change, right? And I feel like with someone like Malik Monk and actually getting him in free agency is just super exciting to see for this King squad that you don't see very active in free agency year after year, mostly because of their reputation, not an attractive place to go for so many free agents. And I just love it that Monty got something done.
Yeah, I think also what Monk has done the last couple of years, he had a slow start to his career in Charlotte. He got the suspension, but he's been really consistent the last couple of years and really a nice three-point shooter. I think his game has just matured. He's become a better player, and I think he's going to be a nice asset for Sacramento for sure. I think it's going to be a huge help for the spacing out there, for their offense. I'm eager to see what it looks like. And what you just said, like, I think it's one of the more surprising things over the last 24 hours is just the fact that they were able to land Malik Monk, because free agency has not been kind to Sacramento. No. We know the history, even when they were good. I mean, you think about like some of the marquee free agents. People always mention Vlade when they signed him in 98. Like, that was a big deal. Other than that, in free agency, they did a sign and trade to acquire Brad Miller, where they gave up Hito in a 3-team deal. Pollard went to Indiana. My point is, we're going back 20 years to start talking about some impact free agents. They've tried some other things over the years, but, you think about the Vlade era. I mean, it was Ariza, Vince Carter, Zebo. I mean, you're forking out a lot of money. Dwayne Dedman. Like, they spent a lot of money. A Corey Joseph, $13 million. A lot of money on questionable talent. McNair, to start his tenure, was like almost the polar opposite, where just not very active in free agency in terms of signing. His first year, we were all like, wait, that Kaminsky, non-guaranteed? Glenn Robinson, partial guarantee? And Hassan Whiteside, you know, and then last year was more like re-signing guys he acquired, like Terrence Davis, Mo Harkless,
Holmes,
you know, re-signing Holmes, getting
yeah.
Alex Len in a second stint with Sacramento. So I think a lot of people were eager to see what he would do in free agency. I think some Kings fans felt let down based on the hype of draft night, like, oh, the Kings are going to be active. Could they get John Collins? Or are they going to trade the 4 pick? And then they just end up taking the 4 pick and then moving second round picks. What was it going to look like? Well, early in free agency, I think they got a pretty nice player, and it's not like at some ridiculous rate. I mean, I think 2 years, $20 million for Malik Monk is a very fair deal for a guy that I think is going to help them a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And again, you're seeing a guy that has shown improvement each year in the league. And I talked about this too, just his improvement in assists, you know, not a huge assist guy, but you're just seeing that assist number go up every year. So can he also be someone that can start to be a little bit more of a playmaker or find the open guy, and they get a rhythm to their offense where they just trust each other, get the ball moving, because that's what's going to work best with them actually having a shooter in Malik Monk and a very fast point guard in De'Aaron Fox and a passing big in Sabonis.